I'm Jerika. I use she, her.
I'm Leap. I use he, him.
And I'm Air. I also use he, him.
And this is Insight Check.
Whoa, okay,
where
I
we
guess it
delve
is.
into the dungeon
of your bad
decisions and retrieve the treasure. Someone say wisdom.
Of wisdom.
Of wisdom.
Well, that was the
Welcome,
thing
one and
that
all.
happened.
That was, that intro permeates every time we do it. And I don't know if it's evolving. It might just be changing.
Could it be mutating?
Yeah.
Is it becoming the X-Men?
We
We can't do too much of it. Remember, copyrights. Shing-ging, psh, all the sounds.
Pew, 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 pew. That's Jubilee Sparkles.
Anyway.
Previously on X-Men.
So I would like to propose at the most recent current meeting of Insight Check podcast that we commence with old business of dungeon crawling.
I second this with a hammer.
I want to read the minutes from the previous meeting.
Oh my god. Oh god. All right.
I mean, if you have them with you, we sure can.
01, 02,
01, 011,
001. Hey, that's me. I know that. I was like, why is this familiar?
Why did we do it
know.
in binary? That seems so unnecessary. Yeah, let's crawl this dungeon. Who's got a dungeon to crawl?
You did.
I have a dungeon to crawl,
Leap down.
but I know that other people do too. I'm going to go.
Leap, you should go.
Thank you. I'm going to go. So, in America, actually, by the time you're listening to this, let me react. In America, where I
get the sugar.
where I start, listener, you know that there's a time warp from when I'm speaking these words to when they listen, when they enter your ear cavities and permeate your brain space. So, in the past, while I am speaking, Canada hasn't started school yet, but America has. By the time you listen to this, everyone will be in school. However, I'm starting at a new school, which is really exciting. And the thing that I am super duper pumped about is there is already a Dungeons and Dragons club,
Exciting.
which is bananas. And so like part of my, like here in Ontario, the teachers have like a staff meeting at the end of the year, but it's really the first staff meeting of the next year. Basically, I learned last year that there was already a Dungeons and Dragons club and I lost my mind. And I got to sit down and talk with the teacher who facilitated it last year. And they have a lot of really amazing ideas and they've gotten like a bunch of resources. Last year it was a little student led and I'm just really pumped because my Dungeons and Dragons club was just me doing crazy stuff, but now I get to like work with someone and I'm super duper excited about it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It is really cool. And they've got like, I should get the name of the resource that they found. It's like one of those subscription based like mail services where they like send you new dungeon stuff or new adventures like every month or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they showed it to me today, and it's got like little miniatures, like legit miniatures, and then like the paper foldy ones, except they're like a really nice plastic, and there's two sides to them, and I'm pumped. And the school was also donated a starter kit by a student who graduated's family last year. So it's just a really cool place to walk into to see that this culture already exists. And I'm so excited to join this culture.
Yay!
You're going to have to go into that room on that first date and kind of be like, I heard there's Dungeons and Dragons here. Like,
I should just bust in the door and been like, you find yourself in an inn, and just like
initiative.
Exactly. But I don't know. I don't want to cause anyone anxiety, so I might not do it that scarily.
It's a strong opening. It's a strong opening play.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had found this back when I was still teaching, because I totally, I potentially would have started a Dungeons and Dragons club if social anxiety hadn't gotten in the way. I did like robotics and stuff. So I suppose I could have, I definitely know some of the kids I taught would have been super into D&D. They were some big nerds. So just this past week, I dipped a toe into the milieu of small folk.
I would like to posit in the minutes of our meeting to scratch any use of the word milieu, because I feel like it's a totally a totally extraneous word that means nothing.
I mean, tell the French, but
dip the toe. Yeah, don't tell them. They'll be so upset.
Okay. I'll take my toe out of the French pond and dip it.
This is getting like, sorry, my mind is in a spot, and that spot. Anywho, take your toe out of it. Let's out of the milieu.
He's a nice American public pool.
Go. I have questions.
So I was very much engaged in the lore and the world building that Leap and Jay collaborated on to create this little magical valley of sapient creatures and the cultures that had grown up around them and the little community they had built. And so I wanted to take a shot at running a game. I managed to have a free night, and I was like, okay, time to run some D&D. And I didn't know what to do. So I was reading through the Children of the Valley kind of campaign guide that you and Jay put together. And I was like, oh, what's this fairy dragon? What's his deal? I wanted to do something that was after the games that you are currently running. So taking a group of established heroes and having them be of interest to this fairy dragon to complete a mission. So they went out. We did a little bit of lore building about how that fairy dragon is tied to the light, the magical crystal that lights the valley / brought, a new level of consciousness to these creatures. And he sent them out to a bog that was touched by the penumbra of the shadow cast by the light and corrupted the life in this bog to the north of the valley. And
oh my God, that's so cool.
And so they were sent on like a scouting mission. They were conveyed by means of a palanquin carried by an entire colony of ants that was always giving them attitude. And they found this group of horned toads, some of which were large and foreboding, carrying gnarled clumps of wood, and they were followed by these undead smaller toads, and they were all convening to talk to their leader, which was a giant black croc who was hoping to wage war on the valley. And so that's where we left it. They reported back to the fairy dragon that war was upon the precipice of the valley.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
I really enjoyed it. It's a great little. It is a great place to tell stories in. And Jerika played in that game too.
Did you happen to write down anything about that one shot?
I did.
That we could share with the people.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I can.
Cool. You got a week or less.
Yeah. What was the I'll try to get some of that
so that
written
they
out.
Can do it. Because Small Folk is too. All open source, if you will.
It is. Mm-hmm. If it makes you feel any better, Air, like the gloaming module that I've started to write has taken, by my own silliness, has taken on a life of its own. That a teacher about to start school who also has 3 children under 5, it is taking me a little longer than I had originally anticipated. But what I love, like the thing about the Valley that I really like is that people who are involved or who are on the borders of it have like just backstory ideas that, because it's so open right now, like because there isn't, like there's ideas of lore and like it's just like a big blank canvas that people are just running with it in really interesting ways. Like Jay ran a one shot, which I've talked about before, which the way he does things and the way he thinks about things is like really made me think about stuff that I might want to do. And like Knit Pixie, a friend of ours, who I'm sure a lot of people know, she plays in our table 3 game that has played a couple times, and she's written like a whole backstory of like her frog monk, who I hope I'm not blowing up her spot, but I think she wants to like build an encounter or like a thing around it, which is like really, really cool. Yeah. And so it's just like the valley itself, I feel like we'll just have to constantly just find more nooks and crannies and places. Like I never want to draw a full map of it because I never want someone to feel like they can't add something to it. You know, like I never want to give it a full diameter or say like, these are exactly where everything is, or because it like, I love that people are messing around with it and just trying to tell a cool kind of story, you know?
It works very well as a West Marches style game because you have a central known area around which nothing else is known. So you can just start filling in those blanks, and you've got multiple games that are already doing it. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Oh man. If you play that again, let me know, because I just like want to listen to it or like play in it. Right. Or like if there's,
I would like very happily run it again.
Oh yeah. Are you planning on doing?
Because we missed all the encounters.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they made amazing. I did a lot of, so it was mostly like skill challenges, group-based skill challenges, and they just kept rolling really well. Like they'd roll a nat 1 and someone else would roll a nat 20 to balance it out. And
I see.
Yeah,
cool.
It was. I think there were like 3 opportunities for them to get caught by a baddie, and they managed to squeak out an escape every single time.
So here's a question that I have for you, Air. How, like, because Jay and I have talked about this, that like small folk can be, depending on how people are running it, can be a combination of like really cutesy kind of light, kind of like the gloaming like was, right? Like it versus like imminent, visceral, like Discovery Channel level danger, you know?
Yeah,
like,
the cheetah leaping upon the gazelle
and just tearing it to shreds, right? Like, so what was that balance like for you?
I was definitely leaning more towards the cutesy, like warm-hearted. I really like the aesthetic of this being like Wind in the Willows, but D&D, like nice. Very much like soft-hearted. And like the biggest challenge I think the party faced was they didn't see a bunch of brambles on the road and they crashed into it, and some of them got caught in it. Like and just figuring
referencing a book during the last table 2 game, and I'm gonna do some mad scrolling.
Redwall?
No.
If you haven't watched the last table 2 game, or any of table 1 and table 2, like I'm super biased, but I highly recommend it. But what I really liked about the last table 2 game is that like there was just a little bit of time. Like I kind of gave the players a heads up of being like, hey, there's going to be like a seasonal shift, and I'm just going to ask you what you were doing. And I don't know, I should have expected this, but like people just came back to be like, I went to this place and it's named this, and I lost my mind. Right?
Brambly
like,
Hedge books. They are amazingly illustrated, and it's all like little animals making their little houses, and it's
this strikes me as extremely Haley.
It is, but it's also extremely small folk. So.
I'm looking this up.
It totally is. Look at these little Victorian mice.
Oh God, I'm gonna want to just rub my faces against their faces.
But you can.
But I can't. Oh, geez, Louise. Yep, this is incredible. This is so
material.
cute.
Yeah, I love it.
The reason why I asked Air is like, season table 1. It's like we are about to like get into some stuff, which is I'm really excited about. And table 2 is going to go to like they're going to go down to like down to the river, to like the river folk
down to the river.
No, but it's like it's going to have that cutesy stuff, but they're about to get into a battle which I am like the table 3 play that I'm really excited about because it's like probably the most dangerous thing that I've done yet. And I'm also really pumped to see how they deal with it. I'm sorry if I sound distracted. I'm looking at these book pictures and I'm losing.
Though.
It's so
I love
good.
how like a couple really special ones are like technical drawings of these little houses.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like a segment,
Yep.
They cut the mouse house in half and you see all of the different, like, this is how their plumbing would work.
Yeah,
this is where the
it.
stove goes.
This is where all the little pots go.
Oh man, I'm gonna buy all this.
Rubber bands to extract honey from stuff and the water wheel. Oh my God, it's so cute. Oh my God, I love these. Anyway, I participate in a West Marches game basically every week, and I decided to create a wiki for this campaign so that all of the players can keep track of everything that's going on. It can be really, really hard for people to remember to do really good recaps for the other players. And it can be really hard to remember like what things are like we should be exploring or what some campaign or session ideas might be. So I put together all the things I could remember so far.
Nice.
On a fandom wiki. So I'm I put a lot of work into that, and I'm hoping some of the other players will contribute.
That's something that's really important for someone to start though, right? Because like, yeah, I hope that you can come back in like a couple weeks and being like, it's better now, right? Because that's like one of those tasks that someone needs to take on, but hopefully everyone benefits from.
Yeah, right. Including the DMs.
Air, you decided, correct me if I'm wrong, you decided to find ridiculous questions.
Jerika prompted this. So
Jerika's
been listening to Mabim Bam. I think Air has too, but I like oh no, the mice, they're gathering berries. Okay, anyway. Must close all tabs.
I'm doing it too. I got it in 1 second. Oh, this one has moss on it. All right.
I really enjoy sort of the chaos that comes from Yahoo questions. So I suggested maybe we should get a little chaotic. How's that?
And so in that spirit, we went to the source of all misguided question asking, Yahoo Answers. Y'all want a Yahoo?
Yeah.
Can I ask one of them, but in like a voice?
Of course.
Can I do that? Awesome.
Absolutely.
Is there one that you had in mind?
Yes.
Can I do the one about...
Don't
stairs. Okay. All right. So this is from Yahoo Answers. It doesn't have the author name. So author, thank you, whoever you are. So I will be a DM for a module of the starter pack. And I and my 4 friends are complete noobs. Do stairs require an agility check or something? After a lot of browsing on the forums, I see people say that character fell down stairs and stuff.
It's an important question.
Thank you, Bob Cathgoldthwaite, for asking us. I
forgot about him.
I love that they want to run D&D in like ultra hard mode.
Well, I think
I look out the window.
There are some cases in which you do come up against stairs as a potential enemy.
Oh, for sure.
I remember running
mimic.
a module where like there was they were going down the stairs and the stair is potentially going to shatter beneath your weight of your heavy armor or whatever, and they had to make dex checks. But I don't think normally stairs present a huge issue for players.
I would absolutely love if like I'm always looking for an opportunity to call for a check just so I can kind of play off the
Roll a
narrative.
dexterity saving throw. No reason.
Yeah, I have-
The DC is 1, but you never know.
You succeed. I have found an option for how you can
Every
make
time you come to stairs,
game.
you ask for like some sort of saving throw, and it's just to keep them on their toes. Anyway, your turn.
So okay, imagine like you need a pause in your game, right? Like you've been playing a lot of heavy
you don't
stuff.
need pause in your game with small folk because there's a
don't-
lot of pause.
The paws are already there. You don't need to find them. You got the paws.
Away.
So imagine though you needed a break from your campaign and you wanted to do a one shot. So the premise is every single character is a squid doing its best to pretend to be a human and not get caught. And so then things
When you
like
say
stairs.
squid, do you mean like Mind Flayer?
I was just thinking squid, so that Mind
Interesting.
Flayer. How
Is
because
this like
then
the dad game where you're like an octodad or whatever?
I don't know, but
How
probably
does a squid become a person, Leap?
well with a good costume and maybe maybe some kind of spell.
Increase in intellect?
Yep. Anywho, we could get into the mechanics of it, but like then going up the stairs would require a check.
Yeah.
Opening doors in a human-like way would require a check, right? Maybe it's just like you're a squid, you have developed sentience, and you find yourself in a human inn
have
and need to
pull
get
off a
upstairs.
heist, and then it's like Oceans 4, where the ocean is actually the ocean.
I was gonna say, it's like Leap. I think you might have just invented Honey Heist.
I didn't see. I haven't played Honey. I don't know anything about Honey Heist. But now that you say that, and you're like, oh right, the bear thing. Okay,
Yes,
yep.
It's bears trying to steal honey. As the name implies, but there is a lot of having to pretend to not be a bear in order to sneak past people. So
There we go.
You've hit the nail on the head.
On the pre-created head. Okay.
No, listen, it's good. Like the squid is a unique take. Like anyone can bear. That's easy.
Anyone. Another option are chickens. I'd say that chickens would be an excellent animal to pretend to try and be human around. I think that would be very good. Or like you had cards, like say you had playing cards. I'm making this up. All on the go, and you have like a character, like an animal with also like a personality trait, right? So like a cat with anxiety, or like a chicken with who's very interested in things, right? And so every player has to like grab a card, and then they're a different creature that has to do something. I don't know. This is how I could see stairs being like an actual skill check.
I love the idea of there just being completely innocuous, like nonsense checks throughout all of it. Like, okay, you finish your long rest, you come back to consciousness. Everybody make me a wisdom saving throw. Oh, you fail, you fail. You two cannot find the wherewithal to get out of bed and face the day this morning. You spend an extra hour, you miss breakfast, you have one level, like just constantly taking any mundane thing and turning it into a check with consequences.
Oh boy.
Totally. Like, you make a quick dexterity saving throw. I'm sorry, you failed it. You banged your knee real hard off the table. You are going to have disadvantage on any dexterity check for half an hour, and it's going to hurt real bad, right?
Make me a survival check. Yeah, no, that was not the right side of the bed. You actually found the wrong side of the bed to get up on, and you're kind of ornery this morning.
You're super grumpy.
Yeah.
Can I read a question?
Oh, please.
Please.
Can you play D&D at Mickey D's? This group is looking for a place to have their D&D game. And a lot of the venues they are looking at are full. There's no room at the inn. So they're wondering if D&D is socially acceptable for a venue like McDonald's.
I just want to say that there's a certain degree of being able to reverse engineer the age of the question asker based on the details of I said Mickey D's because my house isn't big enough for 5 nerds to play D&D and all caps suit my mom's need for the TV. Oh my God, Mom. Like, and I don't want to inconvenience any of their families either. Plus, our basement is spooky, in quotes.
The first time I played D&D, it was in a spooky basement. So I wouldn't discount that.
I imagine a 12-year-old boy or girl or non-binary person like holding their D&D kit, looking at their mom on the TV, and then cut to a basement door open and you just see that black, like, yeah, exactly. A cold wind looking out, looking back,
know where it came
Yeah. And then out of the looking like across a window and you see those golden arches. And then like under it just says Mickey D&D's under it.
Oh, it's such
brand
a good
synergy.
like branding opportunity.
Seriously, right?
Yeah.
Because the like they could get dice in the Happy Meal.
Oh my gosh. We should buy McDonald's and turn it into a subsidiary of Wizards of the Coast.
I think that now restaurants sometimes have like those like you can't sit forever unless you're buying things policies.
Yeah.
I feel like Mickey D's is not one of those
It
places.
depends on the specific store. There might be Mickey D's that are much more busy than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think it depends on what kind of game you're rolling with. Cause you know, if I were, I don't want to shame anyone. Some things that are said on D&D podcasts would make a grown man blush. So I feel like in a setting, especially if there's a play place, like you gotta keep it PG or G. What are you giggling about, Air?
You watch as the orc's head flies halfway across the room, viscera spilling from the newly opened wound on his neck, and there's just a 4-year-old staring, eyes like saucers, like, Mommy, what happened to that poor man?
Ice cream falling on the floor.
Or like the perpetually sexualized Father Gordon shows up without a shirt on.
That's true.
And now you're getting into adult themes.
You have been warned.
Let's remind ourselves of the author who also wants to be sure that they don't want to inconvenience their mom, go into a spooky basement, or, inconvenience the mom of their friends. I am making a large assumption here, but I feel like that game is going to be McDonald's appropriate, maybe in that kind of spot.
Or very inappropriate because
That's
social
true.
cues. But
That's
the
true.
social cues do seem to be sort of understood in some ways. So who knows? But I would say probably okay.
Here's the long game. If you're listening, new friend with a spooky basement, the first thing you got to do is you and your friends have to put some money aside to basically invest in this McDonald's by going there every afternoon, buying something and befriending the people who work that shift. Like you gotta know the manager by name.
Minimum wage sucks.
Minimum wage sucks. Yeah. Then you got to overthrow the system and eat the man. And then the McDonald's is yours.
The man.
Yeah, well, you fight the man and eat the rich. So therefore, you must eat the man who is the rich, right? Like that is the
his
missing.
name
I don't know. I can only eat so much man. It's pretty rich.
That's very, they're well barbled because they haven't had to do anything except press.
And we feed them nothing but beer and massage them 3 times a day.
Oh, gross.
Oh, God. There's a Wagyu or Kobe pun somewhere in there, but I can't get to it.
Do you want to ask the mimic question?
I do. If I could just do one thing really quick. So this question goes on and on talking about like, do you think we would be distracting? Do you think, people wouldn't like it? Do you think they'll want like the tables turned over if it's really busy? Like they're asking all these questions about McDonald's, and one of the 2 answers given simply states they have Wi-Fi. Apropos of nothing. They have Wi-Fi.
They have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, great. Superb. Thank you, friend.
Oh, man.
All right. Let's see here. bman_78 asking, does a mimic poop? It is considered a monster, so that means it eats, breathes, sleeps, and, well, poops. I think you're just answering your own question there. So if a mimic poops, what kind of poop is it?
So I would assume because, I mean, physics, but I mean, physics can be broken, of course, in the world of D&D. That if stuff goes in, eventually stuff will come out.
That's true.
And I would say
was it not Newton who said what goes in must come out?
Yes. I feel like it's going to be digested matter of some sort, not worth anything. Why would someone ask this question? I think is a better question.
I want to believe that this person was hoping that because the mimic has complete control over their biology to change into things, that they would be able to also have control over the appearance and look of the things that they expel, right? So exactly. So
or
you might not.
Or is the shape their excrement takes? Is it based on what they transformed into at the time?
They have imagined only the worst sphincters that can exist in the world.
So, like, if your mimic is a tasteful walnut side table, does it poop a smaller tasteful walnut side table?
I was going to ask the same question, and this is why we're friends. I like to think that there's a party who enters a very quiet room, something smells off, and the only thing they could see is a side table with some smaller side tables scattered around the room in corners.
If I may, I think we've stopped answering the questions of do mimics poop, and we've started answering the question, how do mimics procreate?
That's so too. Do mimics have a gender? Is that or no?
I believe
so how
they
do
reproduce
mimics
asexually. I think I think they're like jellies or whatnot. They kind of break off a piece of themselves and it grows to be
Kit Kat bar.
Break me off a piece of. I do like the idea that a mimic would be clever enough. Like that's some body horror shit where it's like, it's not just like an amorphous interior and like the exterior looks like a thing. It actually thought to like dream up a digestive tract with which to deposit grossness. Like that's some next level mimicry.
Or like to dream up things that would fit the setting.
You know, a mimic is aged when it poos appropriately in the space.
Oh, yeah. Like a young mimic doesn't get it, right? So, like, you're going by a bush, right? And the bush looks fine, but all of a sudden there's a very small clock tower beside it, and you know something is wrong, right?
You're like, why is that treasure chest wearing a diaper?
Yeah. And why is this diaper filled with very small gnomes in it? What's going on?
Yeah. It's full of copper pieces. These are copper pieces.
No.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So I think we've answered the question. Yes, of course they do, and they're the best at it.
Wait, you were talking about this. I don't know if this is a question, but you were talking about like skeletons and their immunities. Do you want to talk about this?
I ask that question.
Well, here it is. Let me hit you with it. Well, I think this one's more of a teleological sort of question. At what point does a zombie become a skeleton? If it had so much as a centimeter of flesh on its body, is it still a zombie, or is it now a skeleton? This is like how far can you run into the woods before you're running out?
Right. Yeah. How far can you
consult D&D Beyond? Continue talking.
Zeno's paradox.
Yeah, it's like what percentage of decaying matter, right, is required on that husk before it is blossomed into something. Exactly.
Yeah, it's
right?
true. Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to say if you're at least 50% cut, you need to be 50.0000001% if you're at least 50% fleshed, then I'm going to give you zombie status.
This question is completely moot, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, dear God.
The CR of skeletons and the CR of zombies are the same. So it doesn't matter.
So it's just flavor at this point in time.
It's completely flavor. If you want 3 zombies, have 3 zombies. If you want 12 skeletons, have 12 skeletons.
Okay, you're on D&D Beyond right now,
Yes.
and I have a question. Do skeletons have damage resistance that zombies don't? Because if they do, this is totally a player being like, well, you just said that there's like a bunch of stuff that's hanging off of it. It's probably still a zombie. And so my piercing weapon should be able to do the damage that it normally does.
Let me break it
right?
down for you.
Yes.
Vulnerable
Break me off a piece.
skeletons are vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. They are immune to poison damage. Let me check. Zermbers.
See,
damage
I would've thought-
immunities, poison, no vulnerabilities.
So that might be it then, right? Like maybe...
And also the zombie, I don't know if you've heard of a little thing called undead fortitude.
Right. Very much so.
So it can drop to 1 hit point instead of going down.
Right.
A skeleton does not have that.
Yeah,
Just like,
this is totally like someone has gone onto Reddit to try and win an argument with the DM about what they were fighting because of one of these statistics. That's what I am calling at this very minute.
very possible.
Okay, I am calling. I have to do this. I'm calling bullshit on this.
Which part of it?
Here's yes, no. So I think Jerika was driving at the idea that perhaps a skeleton is just a zombie that's been around for a while, right? It's just had all of that meat shorn from the bone, but it's still going. It's still rock. If a zombie doesn't need any of its flesh, if you were to sear it all away and it is now just a skeleton, then this whole bludgeoning thing makes no sense because the flesh isn't helping it at all.
Right.
The flesh is completely, it's essentially window dressing.
The flesh.
Yes.
The flesh.
How does that relate to bludgeoning?
Well, the
because the
zombie
flesh-
should also be vulnerable to bludgeoning damage because it's just wearing a skin suit. That's not armor. It should be readily bashed.
Honestly, the picture on D&D Beyond of a skeleton is wearing more armor than the zombie is.
Well, the picture of the zombie is it's wearing tattered rags and its internal organs on the outside. Yeah.
Guts out, girl. Listen to Stonehouse's podcast, one of my favorite other podcasts. Ding.
Guts Out podcast?
So was it Caitlin or Byrne that yelled that particular saying?
Guts out, girl is just now in the lore of Stonehouses.
I gotta get in there. I gotta get in there and absorb that content.
It's good content.
I hate all these questions.
Oh, what about can I ask one last one?
Sure.
Please.
So I love this because of what's being asked. Any riddle for the answer, wind. So I've seen a lot of people go online and be like, does anyone have any good riddles or puzzles for a D&D game? But this person is asking that on top of basically, I want riddles that give the answer wind and some riddles that give the answer power. Go.
I would probably approach it like my taboo brain that plays the game Taboo 24/7.
Oh, sorry. Nice. I'm with you now.
Would try for the wind route.
Oh, I see.
So like winding things up, things wind down, clocks are involved.
Springs.
Little toys that do the winding thing, walking toys or whatever. Yeah.
That is good.
I do like that.
And I would go with Poor
Does
instead.
the clock need to
Poor.
go?
One who
Puer,
poos.
the fermented tea drink?
Pardon?
There's a drink called pu'er, which is a tea-based drink.
Oh, I see.
TIL.
I just heard pooer as in someone who poos. And
which was my intent. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad because we are the same person. And once again, we continue to prove it. So it's good. It's fine. Haley was right all along. This is...
I mean, it's what we need to accept in our hearts and in our bowels so that we can move on in our life, our singular life.
I like that this guy, like this person, has something that just needs the answer wind and needs the answer power. I feel like they have created...
This is just a sustainability indoctrination one shot.
Yeah, it maybe. Or like, yeah, they've got everything else figured out and they knew that they missed something. And it's the riddles that will give them wind and power, right? Like,
can you read the answer, please? The first one.
Oh yeah, the best answer. To repair it, wind, you can't break wind. What does a horse and an engine have in common? Which is power, as in horsepower, right? That's the answer that you wanted me to write?
No.
What? Oh, the best answer, sorry. What can you break several times a day,
there you go,
every day of the year without ever having to repair it?
Whee!
I like it.
Oh my.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm out there and you catch feelings. That's your problem.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to be me and you just got to get out of my way.
Yeah. Oh, that's not true at all. I love you all.
No.
Please understand that I only play this role on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Also, I'm seeing pu'er for the first time. This fermented tea drink ball that Jerika has shown me a picture of.
Brown ball. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. But if you're listening to this right now and you are pro pu'er, sell me on it on Twitter. Pu'er. So what is the name of someone who drinks?
I can't just do it on demand, people. This is totally, this is absolutely our most childish podcast ever, which I think really loops us around to Max Mabim Bam aesthetic.
We've done it.
Hey,
I guess.
Now we got to go out with the joke. Oh, wait, we did that already. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We would like to thank Vinswept for their music that we use as our intro and outro, Never Stand Alone. We would also like to thank Amy T. Falcone for our social branding and our chibi faces. If you like this podcast and you listen to it somewhere where you can give it a review, such as, I was going to say iTunes, but every podcast I listen to now says Apple Podcast. So like Apple Podcast. Yeah. And wherever else, please give us 5 stars. If you do that and you show me and recommend a song for me to lip sync that is appropriate on Twitter, I will lip sync it for you on Twitter. I hope someone calls me out on this. Have I missed anything?
And you wanna rate us, come on, baby, give some stars.
Oh yeah, even better. Thank you for listening again. We'll see you next week, I guess. This
was
no.
This was no.
Answering your cues from our collective A's. This
was
Insight
Check.
Oh, Jay, you marvelous man.
It's a bit familiar, but not too familiar.
Do I sound like I'm right behind you?
I am actually a little scared to turn around because if you are right behind me, I don't know what I would
Holding
do.
a microphone.